there's a big draw on the farm market, or appears to be, when you look in the rest of the summer, it looks like they're going to be really hitting the farm market fund hard. So we got an email just Monday that said they're going to put restrictions back in that you can't borrow ahead. If you're going to let a project that borrows you ahead, you've got to wait with that project. You can't, where before they'd let you borrow 3 years ahead. Well, we've got about $930,000 in our farm market balance right now. By the 1st of July, we'll have about $1.3 million, but then we'll have that D59 project in the letting, and our estimate is about $800,000 of that will come out of farmer market funds. The rest of it's SDP. We've got that county deck repair on the county land that we're using farm market funds for. And then if you look at our road use tax for this FY10, we get about $750,000. So next July 1st, we'd have about $1 million, almost $1.2 million. Well, in this project here, at $1,275,000 would basically spend us down to just a little bit in the hole. So we're that close, and of course it all depends on how some of these other lettings come in, and of course how much money comes into the road use tax fund. But hopefully, we'd have enough farmer market to let that next spring. They'd let us let it next spring, with being that close, because by the time they got the work done, the road use tax money should be there, that we would not go in the hole. So I did, when I originally talked to the board about budget and program, back when I did the county budget, I had this sheet that showed projects. Well, I had D15 west of Nemaha in there, and I had M50 in there, and I had D15 west of Shaler in there. So after looking at the farm market balance and what they've done on restrictions, I had Chris this morning move the D15, both of the D15 projects back to 2011, because with the farm market balance where it's at, they're not going to let us let those next summer anyhow. And they're using the numbers that we put in here to project where the farmer market balance was at. So I thought it was probably more fair to move them back, because we weren't going to have the money to do them anyhow. And it gives them a clearer picture of what's in the hopper to be let. So those two projects did get moved from where they originally were at in 2010. I did leave 1, 2, 3, 4th project down there, that Eden grading. I still left it in the program for this year, in case we decide to bypass that bridge and do that project. It's still a program. Culverts 2010, that's the program we do every year, where we try to do a few of the smaller projects where we let them out, take quotes from the local contractors like Richards and Marty Maurer and Tony
Brower and Shaler we have solicited.
But some of the local contractors, we try to get to do some of the local projects. Patching, we'll probably be looking at doing about $200,000 worth of patching that we'll let sometime after the 1st of July this year. Next item there is right away. We've got a program for any right away we might buy, so we just put a number in there. And then the last project in this next accomplishment year, they call it, is the SDP D59 project, which will be let in May.
Next month.
Yeah. And again, I'm concerned about all the work that's out there that's getting let. We did go to PC on this. I think it'll give us a better chance of getting some competitive prices, because there's a lot of projects out there doing hot mix asphalt. And that's just part of the reason, I guess, when the price gets comparable between the two, I think PC will give you a better surface over time than the asphalt will. But if that project would come in 30% over our estimate, we'll look at rejecting it and reletting it probably next winter.
Are you gonna have to consider not doing the south 3 miles?
I guess if the prices come in high, I just would wait on the whole project and do the, we could, if they come in high, we've still got the option to say, yeah, we want to go ahead and do it. But I don't think there's anything there pressing enough that if we're 30% higher than our estimate, I think there's just too much work out there, and contractors and suppliers are not needing it, not sharpening their pencils, and hopefully next year would be better. But
Really? You think next year would be better?
well, right now we've got, they had to spend 50% of the money or obligate 50% of the money within 120 days. So they've got all kinds of projects they're trying to get let this spring. In fact, it even added a second letting.
It doesn't have to be let, the stimulus, that rail trail, that's a DOT bid process. And that's the last, we can bid that July 10. The plan's got to be the DOT, they said 10 weeks prior to July 10, or excuse me, January 10. So, there's an example, that's stimulus money. The project's not going to get done. It's going to be done next year.
Right.
So,
50% was supposed to.
so if there's,
50%.
I think there's going to be I'm not sure I agree with you, it's going to be cheaper next year because of that very reason. And there's 3 engineering firms there last night, and they just said, we couldn't really say it's going to be cheaper if you put it off a year.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming.
And nobody knows for sure, but 100 or 50% of the stimulus money projects has to be let within 180 days. I think it was. They started out, they were going to say, I need to go back and maybe check that number. They started out, they wanted 50% let in 90 days, the other half let in 180 when they were working on the bill. And they finally did back it off. I think to the first 50% is supposed to be let by, they might have ended up at 180 days, and then the rest of it has to be let within a year. Let me back that up. What they call obligated. And it's obligated, I don't know, like 3 weeks before letting or something like that.
And some of these projects, not road projects, have 15 or 16 months to fix what they have.
What the federal government always looks at is when is the project obligated, and that happens, I think, 3 to 4 weeks before the letting. And so once you have the letting, just like this asphalt project, we could have, and maybe hindsight's going to tell you that's what we should have done. We could have requested that this project not start till next year and give them all this summer and next summer to do it. So there'll be some of those projects that get let that way too. I think the DOT is letting a lot of theirs that way, like this paving on Highway 20. Even though it's going to be in the June and July letting, I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the late start. The late start will be a year from now, and they'll give them next summer to do it, so that they've got basically 2 years to do it. And that qualifies as being obligated, even though you're not spending any money for a year. They consider it obligated. So, but yeah, I don't know. And on this trail project, see, the other thing that the DOT said was, the DOT has said that they've got enough projects that are going to be in the early lettings that they're going to spend the 50% themselves. And so the county projects are not required to be let within the 180 days. And on the trail, I would guess that was somewhat the same there, that the DOT's got enough other trail projects that are going to spend the first 50%. And so
Can't use any stimulus money for engineering.